Good morning, everyone. It's good to have everyone here this morning. Today is the last day in the month of May. And yes, we say thank you, Lord. We made it this far, 31st day, the last day of May, and God has been good to us. May has been a very eventful month, and depending on where you stand, depending on where you are. But one of the things I really appreciate about May, especially towards the end of May, is the change in the weather. And the change in the weather. And just like I was discussing with a brother who lives in Abuja, he said he has never seen the kind of heat wave ever since he's been alive. I say, same here too. But it's great to have God who is God of all seasons, and he takes care of everyone. By tomorrow, we're going to be entering, by God's grace, we're going to be entering a brand new month, the 6th month, half of the year. It's amazing. It looked as if it was yesterday that we were saying Happy New Year, and we're in January and February. But God has been good, and we cannot thank him less. And so tomorrow we're going to be in a brand new book, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. But what we're going to do today is the final day. Just going to do a bit of a review. I want to thank our brother Bodadifolu for yesterday's class using just one line in Nehemiah to really encourage all of us. And I really thoroughly enjoyed listening to those adventure. I call them as the adventure of a neighborhood chairman, and how he interacted with the KBAC and to see the antics that people play. What people say is not what people do. But again, it looks like that is how the world is sometimes. So today, we're going to be looking at blessings for all of us, the blessing for rebuilders, the blessing for rebuilders. I remember in the, I think, month of March, we looked at Ezra, Nehemiah. But in the past 2 months, April, May, I think this is the first time we're combining like 2 months together. We're packing 2 months together. We've been able to look at 4 books. After we looked at Ezra and Nehemiah, about what happened during the reconstruction of the temple, and of course the building of the wall. Inside there, we were told that the people prospered under the preaching of prophets, Prophet Haggai, Prophet Zechariah. And so we started to look at, so what happened post-exile? And in the past 2 months, without even you realizing it, we looked at 4 very exciting books. We looked at the book of Esther, we looked at Haggai, and we also looked at Zechariah. And we now went like 100 years forward. We looked at the last book of the Old Testament, which is Malachi. So today, as you and I come to what I will call the end of the end, the absolute final. I've been saying the end now for the past 1 week, but it's like the absolute final day of these 2 months. I'll call it spiritual journey. Now we stand at the mountain peak of our study. We are looking down, and we are seeing what God has done. In all the study, you look at somebody told me yesterday that he liked the way we do systematic theology. And yes, I do. Systematic theology is when you take it part by part and you are building on it. So you can see how we are moved systematically through what I would call the hidden province of Persia. We went to Persia, like in Esther. Then we now went to the rugged timbers of Jerusalem, the ruins of Jerusalem. Then we now went to the cosmic night vision of these prophets, prophets of restoration. Then we now went to the refining fire of the altar, and of course the beautiful song that liberated everything. Remember the Psalms that we read. Oh man, when the Lord brought the captive back from there, were like men who dreamed. You know how you say, man, I can't believe this happened. You'll be in awe. So you can see how these things are moving around. So today, the last day, 31st of May, we don't want to just close a schedule like, okay, this is done. But I want all of us to please step into the structural inheritance. You know how you say you finish building, now it is now for you to possess your possession. Okay, you cannot just go through this like any other thing. You now have to now bait yourself in it. So this final possessive summary I'm going to be doing. We'll be doing summary for the past 1 week. I'm going to bring all of us to this ultimate destination of every trial that I go to, and that is the coronation of the rebuilder. God is about to reward all of you for this journey that you have embarked on. So when I look at the what's it called, the historical synthesis, I'm using some theological words, academic word right now. And basically, we're looking at the architecture of the new season. Let's see what it looks like. So for us to look across, we are on the mountain peak at this time. We've been able to do all the for us to now look across the entire poetic exilic corpus. When we do that, it helps us to see how magnificent all these 4 parts, symphony of what I'll call a divine restoration. You look at just how it flows from Esther, then you now came in and on. Then boom, it ends in a wonderful, song. So historically, the journey, everybody's journey sometimes will begin in some dark winter places, just like in Susa. One winter, you see you are starting from a lowly place, where there is this marginalized, people, they were there. And the marginalized people are faced with this irrevocable death sentence. We are going to destroy all the Jews. And that was the climax when God showed up. And God showed up there in the book of Esther, and where God proved that his silence. Remember what we learned? I'm going to be repeating a lot of things that you must have heard before. Remember that his silence, providence is always working behind the scene to position us for victory. And that is why you need resilience. Okay. God is not the author of negativity or author of evil, but God can work even through the most evil thing to bring about what he wants to do. So the enemy might think they are throwing you a curveball, but God can redirect it for something really good. So then, the story then shifts all of us to this Jerusalem, ruined, dusty, demoralizing rubble. Then all the returnees were stalled, they were stranded, they couldn't move forward, they couldn't go back to Susa, and they were there for 16 years because people threatened them. So it's like from frying pan to fire. They just escaped the fire of Susa, where all of them could have been killed, but God came in. Remember the story of Mordecai and everything. So these guys are back home. All right. Then from there, we now saw a prophet now began to pray, Prophet Haggai. So through Haggai, God began to confront what I would call their misplaced priorities. And of course, God taught them, that laying the foundation of the house is the absolute key, to purging the hole and plugging every single leaky places. If you want to really last, you must set the foundation straight. Your spirituality, you must take care of it. Today, we take care of our bodies, we take care of our finances, we take care of our businesses, take care of everything. All those things will come and go. But the one that will really, really endure is your spiritual life. And God is saying that, listen, man, not just building your own panel houses, set your spiritual life straight. Plug the holes in your private economies. God said that is why you put monies in pocket that have holes. You can't explain. You are making money, but it's not doing anything for you. So of course, people began to build, and of course, when you're building, you're about to get tired every now and then. So the physical, labor, that caused their hand to grow heavy. By that time, God now sent Zechariah. Zechariah, his message was so encouraging. It's not by power, not by might. So he gave them this 8 vision. Remember those visions, the night vision and everything. And the vision was able to shift their perspective. God said, listen, I'm going to be a wall of fire around you. Don't worry, this what you are building is not your protection. I'll be your protection. I'm going to dwell in you. In fact, people are going to come and help you build. So the ultimate defense, God is telling them, is the wall of fire. And that final victory that's going to be won. He said, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. Then finally we went all the way back, about 100 years forward into the future. Let us see how our people have lasted after 100 years. So, and this is to ensure that the new temple did not just become empty religious shell. Like we talked about, if you remember me saying about people that sell houses as shells, they just become empty. They are just there. That was why God now sent Malachi 100 years into the future to now demand, let's look at covenant integrity. Let's look at the high honor at the altar. Let's look at promising, all of them, that those who fear God will be recorded at his prized jewel. Remember, he said they are my prized jewel. And that is where we now see God celebrating those that come together to come and talk to one another, those who still have the fear of God in them. So in all this history, shows me, and I'm sure it shows you also, that God will not just deliver us from Babylon. Then just leave us to just rule. Whatever God starts, he finishes. God stays with us throughout the capstone, the lane of the capstone, throughout the shout of grace. God stays with you throughout. And I want all of us to believe that God is with me through thick and thin. God will never leave me. He will never abandon me. So when you put all this together, what can we learn? The lessons to learn. Number one, I'm going to repeat myself, basically, that God restores. Remember the 3 R's. And right now, we're going to make it the 4 R's. All right. God is one who restores. Remember that. He restores. God rebuilds. God reforms. And God renews his people. Once more, now the 4 R's. It was 3 R's before. We're making the 4 R's. We're adding one more to it. God's the one who restores me. God the one who rebuilds me, God the one who reforms me, and God is the one who renews me. So you need to take that to heart. So this comprehensive lesson that they were learning is the entire series. All this thing, what was it telling me? It tells me that God is a multidimensional restorer. Remember what I talked to you about arts? You look at it from here, you see one thing. You look at it from there, it's like show you this. What do you see? Oh, I see this. But when I turn to you see, God restores you all round. So you need to believe in it. God will just perform one supernatural patch up. Remember those days that we used to take our tires, when our tires used to have tubes. It's been a long time. Now we have tubeless, right? I remember the days where the vulcanizer would bring out your tire and it would literally set fire to it. Then it will patch it, and all these have changed. Right now, it's just a poke. They'll poke in it. They'll put that latex glue or something, and boom, and it is done while your tire is still in your car. So God is not just doing one olden days patch up in our life, just manage. What God does is that God rebuilds. And of course, when you have a tire, that are really worn out, there's a point where you can't patch it anymore. There's a point where the tire will now swell. It will not be doing what you're driving, doing. So God said, no, I'm not going to patch. I'm not patching up. I'm going to renew. I'm going to get you brand new tires. Not Tokumbo, brand new tires. So God is one who rebuilds our broken foundation. He's one who rebuilds your priorities. He's one who resets everything. So through Haggai, he's one who restores our lost vision. He's one who restores our hope. He's one who restores everything that we have. And of course, even your territory, your boundaries, he's one who restores everything. Then when you look at Zechariah, he reforms us. So he rebuilds, he restores, and he reforms us. What does he do? He reforms my character. He reforms my relationships. He reforms my moral integrity. That's what he does. He doesn't just restore, he also reform. How you buy Tokumbo. Again, let me take a hit at Tokumbo. There was a time that virtually everything in my house was Tokumbo many years ago. But why not? Tokumbo doesn't come with warranty. Those days you go and buy TV, you buy TV here. So allowance, you go and buy remote control, something down, you go and select remote control amongst pile of 100 remote control, you even know which was going to work. Then you're not going to look for antenna, you're not going to look for, those are that's a wreck. But you now buy one, like what they call one is one, just one. You buy your air conditioner, you buy whatever, and they give you 10-year warranty. Okay, whether it's your freezer, 10-year warranty, your whatever, and I've enjoyed that. And it actually works. Where For 10 years, at least I've not used any new thing recently for 10 years. But I remember one time we had a small, some leaky stuff with our air conditioner. And that's what a minute. So this thing says 10 warranty. We literally just called LG. We literally called them and they sent somebody to the house to come and fix it for free. Oh, we're able to check out something in our refrigerator. We call them, they will come to the house for free. Amazing. That is a kind of, so, it doesn't just restore, it reforms. He's constantly there. And that is what Zechariah tells us. So Zechariah, he reforms our character. He reforms our relationship. So God is there, changing you consistently. You don't just one that just walks and leave you away. God has an after-sale service after he is, and his own is for life, Then we now went to Malachi, and through Malachi, God now begins to renew. So how does that sound to me? It's like, even when I'm just using human terms here, even when your after-sale service has expired, with God doesn't really expire, God renews it. God says, listen, I'm with you always. I'm with you always, even to the end of the ages. So God renews our core spiritual vitality. The old man might be weak, the young man will be weak, but God, those who those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. That's how God says. So he renews our core spiritual vitality. How do you do it? Through the open fountain of his grace. God is always there for all of us. So look at it. This fourfold work I just mentioned: restore, renew, and rebuild everything. What does it do? It actually ensures that you and I, who are rebuilders, who emerges from any crisis that will be coming from, all of us, God said we are all structurally superior to the person who enters, the exile. So look at it. When they were going to exile, they were broken, they were hopeless, they were everything. But those that God has worked with, who came out, our life is way better than those guys. Now we know better. Now we know better. Now we've seen the things that can cause our ancestors to go into this thing. So when I mold all this together, you have to make a decision. You just have to make sure. So what is God asking you to do now based on this? Because the one that restores, he renews, he reforms, everything. So for me, I resolve to fully yield to this fourfold work of God in my life. You have to yield to God. Is the one, he wants to rebuild, he wants to restore, he wants to reform, he wants to renew. So I have to. It is good. I mean, who amongst you will throw away an after-sales service like that I'm going to restore, I'm going to whatever, and then I'm going to renew it again? It would never end. Can you imagine that? So you have to yield your life. Why? Because you know that it's, God is meticulously building, your foundation. He is building my foundation. He's restoring my vision. He's reforming my character. He's renewing my strength. I want that. I really do. Recently I've been investigating eyewears, because of my eyes and this new balls that I'm seeing. I still don't know how it works and everything. I don't say there's some glasses you can just buy one. I say, really? And those glasses adjust to your eyes. So you don't have to be going to the optician every now and then, really. And I adjust to your eyes. I say, I need to see it. So I'm really, I would like to get into something that will just adjust itself to my eyes, so that I won't have to be going back and forth and everything. So apart from restoring, renewing, reforming and everything, the blessing of align, that alignment, just alignment, with God. God is here. There's a blessing when I come and align myself with God. That blessing actually outlasts the season of struggle. When you come and align yourself with God, it outlasts whatever you think you've gone through. That alignment will outlast the season of struggle. When a car is not, tires are not aligned, and that car is practically dragging, and that's where the tire will start eating up. You see some tires, some cars with K-leg, some with bow leg, the tires, suffer. But when you align everything, it begins to move better. So throughout this, poetic timeline that we've seen the blessing that we saw, quotes, was never triggered by perfection. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm not good enough. You tell yourself that. Just like I was telling somebody, do you know you are perfect? Do you know you are holy? You are righteous. Maybe out of humility, we say, oh, nobody is perfect. No. I said, God has made me perfect. His goal for me is to be perfect. So I want you to start thinking in that way. So the blessing, however, is never triggered by your own perfection. Of that external environment. The environment has to be perfect, but it's actually triggered by just you aligning, the alignment, of God's obedience. Just say, God, I want to obey you. God is going to work everything out. You don't have to have everything. You can always start, somewhere. That thing about, until I am this. When I teach leadership, one of the things I also teach, one of the models that I teach leadership, I just finished teaching in March. In March is I talk about the 360-degree leadership as sponsored and created by John Maxwell. How do you lead up? How do you lead down? How do you lead across? Then John Maxwell was able to bust the myths of leadership. Like, for example, the destination disease. Until I'm promoted, I won't be able to have influence. Until I'm doing whatever. You don't wait. You have influence right now. You can start from where you are. So the moment the remnants bought timber, they brought the timber from the mountain, the agricultural drought broke. The moment that they stood in their authority, the Persian law was superseded. The moment that they brought in their contribution, financial contribution to the temple, the Vara was broken. So just align yourself, then the rest will happen. That's it. Just do what God says you do. God will take care of the rest. Just align yourself. So the blessing of the rebuilder, all of us here, is that permanent covenant posture. Because God is with me, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, just stay on God. Let God do His own work. So when you maintain that kingdom first priority, then the sovereign system of heaven, what it will do is that it will ensure that your labor is now like a wire. Like I have several wires here. Let me pick on this. Your labor is insulated from the economic and spiritual deficit of the world. If this thing was not insulated, it will be naked wire. You cannot touch naked wire. It's really high voltage naked wire. So we insulate it. So God insulates you. Remember what the Bible says? 1,000 will fall at your right and your left, but you're going to be. Those are not just things just to inspire you. They are real. God will take care of you because He can. So when you get to a point where you realize that your God is really and truly the Almighty, it's like you having the chancellor, the vice chancellor of a university, guaranteeing you admission. Say you've done JAMABI, you don't pursue any. But okay, the department say don't worry. Because the vice chancellor has his own list. They give him a quota where he can actually bring people in. They even let you professors in university. They too have quotas. So if you are falling into that vice chancellor's quota, who will you be afraid? If God is for us, who are we going to be afraid? So it's either we begin to fear our situation or we fear the God that controls every situation. Okay, so number one, God reveals, He renews, He rewards, everything. Then number two, when you align yourself, don't worry about the rest. Then number three, I want to share for all of us who are rebuilders, is that rebuilders are anchored for the silent years. Okay, there is something that's going to happen. And we saw that 400 silent years, right? So when Malachi finished speaking, okay, then that prophetic voice ceased for 400 years. And that 400 lasted until John the Baptist emerged in the wilderness. So what God spoke was able to sustain them for that 400 years. But yet, look at what we began to see. That post-exilic community, they survived those silent centuries. Why they silent? Why they survived? Because they had been given the blueprint of faithfulness. When you have the blueprint of faithfulness, don't worry, just be working on this one. The book of remembrance is there. and the promise of the rising sun of righteousness is going to come. So you know how somebody gives you enough to last you a drought? You don't have to worry, oh, when is this drought going to end? You have enough to keep you there. So this teaches all of us, that the lesson that we have learned today in all these series that we'll be doing, these lessons are not just for today. They are designed to anchor us through our season of waiting. Now, you might not need them now, but put them in your arsenal, because a time will come when you have to say, I'm in trouble. You have to start digging and say, oh, this is what I learned. And that is how you combat Satan, by the word of God. Bible said that they overcame by the words of their testimony. Now, just as overcame on your behalf by the blood, but also what was your testimony? What do you testify? Jesus Christ, when Satan was tempting him, he was bringing out what the scripture says. So this you are learning, but not be for now. Keep them. We've looked at Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Habakkuk, Malachi, Zechariah. You might say, oh, what? The time will come, though. Trust me. The time will come when you will need them. The time is coming. So it teaches us that all these lessons, they are for a season of waiting. There's a time, for it. So when you know who you are, then God's prized possession, that's who I am. Like a personal jewel, his personal person, that's who you are. Then the way you walk through the silence without doubting his presence will not show. You will not compromise your integrity, because you know who you are. We sing that song, for I know who I am. What he said I am. What he said, those are not just songs to make us fired up. I want all of us to put it right now. God will tell the Israelites to inscribe it on doorposts, to inscribe it on their forehead, to memorize it. And when you do, for you to do that, that is where meditation have to come. You don't have to take everything that you're learning. You don't have to now bring them home. Excuse me. You have to now bring them home. You have to now ask yourself, what is this thing going to produce you? What are you going to do about all these things you're acquiring? For me, and I'm sure for you too, I resolve to stand immovable upon these truths of this season that I am in. I'm not going to move. You know why? Because I'm already anchored. When you anchor a ship, when you anchor a boat, it's not going anywhere. The wave might move you here and there, it might toss you, but you are not going anywhere, because I'm fully anchored by God's faithfulness. And because of that, I'm walking in continuous spiritual renewal. It's like a phone plugged. Okay, if it's plugged, you don't have to, it's just there. It's like my laptop is plugged and there's electricity. And as long as I don't have to worry myself. But when I unplug it, then it begins to drain. So what we're doing, we're not going to use God as a power bank. A power bank is just a secondary, just in case. But we're going to plug ourselves there to God, where you don't need a power. In fact, when I travel and people see my power, they're like, wow, what is this? There's some people who don't even know what a power bank is. And if they do, it's something that looks like a pen, something really small that they carry. So I can do just one charge. You know why? Because they have constant electricity. So because we don't have constant electricity, that is why power bank is so popular here. Can you imagine what was going to happen to these power banks when you have constant electricity? They were going to have no need for them anymore, at least not as much as we do. So in the same way, if you are aligned with God, if you are plugged in with God, then you don't need any second opportunity, or let me say a backup plan. So resolve, to stand immovable upon the truths of this season that you are in. Be anchored and remain anchored in God's faithfulness, and continue to walk in his continual spiritual renewal. The call to action, for us today is for us to look at all this we learn and begin to thank God. Thank God for the journey and commit to walking in renewal. Don't just be hearers, like the Bible says in the book of James, but also be doers of the word. Today, I want all of us, the last day of the month, I want us to take deliberate moments to close this season well. Today is the last day of the month of May. End this month very well. What do you now do? Look back to the past 2 months of this devotional that I've been doing. And if you may, write down, let's say, even a single greatest correction The single greatest promise that you have received during the this season. There has to be something. What is the greatest thing that you have received? Write it down. Don't just let it just pass. Anchor it down. Then now begin to thank God for the spiritual stamina. That stamina that that have taken you through the past 2 months. Many of you have been coming here every single day for the past 2 months. Then I want you to now make a quality decision. Okay, make decision to now begin to walk in the new blueprint of priority, in the new blueprint of vision, in the new blueprint of honor every day of your life. Don't throw these lessons away. Bible says, meditate upon the day and night, anchor them, let it be. That's how you'll be able to be able to guide you. But if you only hear, it goes here, it comes out here. I want it, as it goes in here, bring it down to your heart. Anchor into your heart. Remember the things that we have said. Remember the renewal. Remember the restoration. Remember the everything that we have said. Think about them. Ponder about them every single day. And let your hearts, your mind, your soul, let it be anchored into all these things. Then when it's anchored, guess what? You'll be living it. So it becomes a habit. It just becomes it's like waking up at 4 every day. For me, it's a habit. It happens. Make it, but it didn't just come in one day. It came after discipline. Discipline, no matter when you sleep, you wake up the same time. I slept around 1 because I had so many things to do for this week, things to write, proposals for the Young Christians Ministry, for the BPM, for the School of Mission. That's how I start my day. I plan. But no matter what I do, I wake up at the same time because it's not a matter of a lifestyle. So righteousness becomes a lifestyle. Resiliency becomes a lifestyle. Not just what you do, not a flash in the pan, but a lifestyle. We have 15 minutes. And next 15 minutes, we're going to be sharing. We're going to be, talking about what we learn. Let's just hear generally. Maybe 1 or 2 things that you are taking away, or maybe you have like 10 things you are taking away. Maybe you can just pull out one. How has the past 2 months been for you? We're going to take a few people, to share. If you want to share, put up your hand. Then afterwards, we're going to anchor all these things in some meditative prayer. All right. So please, if you would like to share, let me look at the chat. Make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay, good. If you'd like to